Our leader was not being literal. Our leader was worried about the amnesia of the purpose of our struggle, that we may too early forget what our struggle is about. His fear is that, in my view, we're to be immersed in this and then forget what we are about. And my understanding, I suspect, he wanted to remind us that the struggle was not about the ANC. The ANC was the face of struggle, but the struggle was not about the ANC. Now that face of the ANC represented a struggle against the marginalization of people by an apartheid government. And in other words, he wanted us to emphasize all the time our memory of the cause, so that all the time we stay next to the cause. And it's a challenge to us, especially these days, that our face of the movement, that which was founded by our forefathers to be the face of the cause, must never find itself away from the cause. Because people relate with those who are at the center of the people's cause, not the organizational cause.
Chris Hani joined the South African Communist Party in 1961 and Umkhonto we Sizwe in 1962, and went into exile into the then Soviet Union in 1963, and while out on bail pending an appeal against the sentence under the Suppression of Communism Act, he re-entered South Africa in 1974 to establish an underground infrastructure for the ANC. Moving to Lesotho, he organized Umkhonto we Sizwe units for guerrilla operations in South Africa. By 1982, having survived several assassination attempts, he was then transferred to Zambia, where he was elected a member of the ANC National Executive Committee, as well as an MK political commissar, working with students recruited to the ANC following the 1976 uprising. In 1987, Hani was elected Chief of Staff of Umkhonto we Sizwe and rose to a senior position in the South African Communist Party. And on the 10th of April 1993, Hani was assassinated, shot in the head and back by a Polish far-right immigrant, Janusz Waluś, as he stepped out of his car outside his Boksburg home. And now, exactly 23 years ago, South Africa was at the brink of a civil war when South African Communist Party leader Chris Hani was gunned down at his East Rand home in Boksburg. Tokyo Sexwale wept beside Chris Hani's body. And we now take a look at some of the scenes from that day.
I think it should be understood that the Chris Hani who lies in his driveway today dead was not a poet, was not a shopkeeper, was not a musician. He was a revolutionary. He was a politician for his own people. The hand that pulled the trigger is merely a hand. Obviously, there are greater forces which are challenging Chris Hani for who he is. And I've told you that he was not what he was not. He was who he is. And therefore, the enemies of Chris Hani are the enemies of the people of this country. It is correct for us at this time to reiterate that this meeting of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, together with the Alliance, has to sit. President Mandela has been informed, so have been other leaders of the ANC. He has asked for a full report and has indicated that he has to return home immediately. I think people should remember Chris for what he said 2 days ago on television. He was at pains to describe stability, peace, cooperation, and even said he doesn't want to be polemical, we must be constructive. That is the Chris Hani who has now becoming dangerous in this country because he's talking peace. People wanted all the time the image of chief of staff. to remain on him, so that he must be a man of war, betrayed forever. But Chris died for peace.
Well, it's now time to take a look at what's happening on the